In this video, I will show you how you can run just 3 times per week for your half or full marathon and finish with a time that you're proud of and also not get injured while training. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tony Johnson. I've been running marathon for a few years now. My best marathon was the Austin Marathon, where I finished in just 3.5 hours, and I've helped hundreds of other runners train for half or full marathons, some beginner runners, some more advanced, while only running 3 times a week. So you'll see exactly how what I call the 3-run method works, and more importantly, how it's going to help you train for your half or full marathon. So enjoy the short training. How to run 3 times a week for your half or full marathon. Anything over that can lead to overtraining and injuries. So the typical half or full marathon training plan has you run 5+ times a week, speed intervals, hills, and doesn't do any strength training at all. What a plan would look like is maybe on a Monday, you would do a run. Tuesday, you'd run again. Wednesday would be some form of cross trainings, usually like biking or something. Thursday would be another run. Friday would probably be another run. Saturday, day off, and then Sunday would be your long run. And the problem with that is it often can lead to overuse injuries. There was a study done by Yale. It was saying about 50% of runners get injured each and every year, and simply because they were following a training plan that had them doing too much running, just too much volume. The way I like to think about it is think of it like you getting in the ocean. If you haven't ran before, you're new to it, you're running your first half or full marathon, or you haven't ran a race in several years, well, you want to start off in the shallow end where you're just getting your feet wet, maybe you're going up to your knees, and then as you get comfortable and you get used to it, then you start going a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and then a little bit deeper until you're in the deep end where you are swimming. The problem with the typical training plan is it often has you start in the deep end where you are swimming up to your neck, where there are massive waves and dealing with sharks and currents and other fish. And if you're not used to that, well, that's when you put yourself in a position to get injured. Now, if you are used to it, where you have been running for years consistently, you are an elite runner, you're professional, you've ran many races before, then it makes sense to run 5 or 6 times a week. But if you're not, well, you definitely want to start in the shallow end and then strategically increase your mileage, increase your volume. In this case, start in the shallow end and then go deeper and deeper. Because some of the overuse injuries people get, runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, shin splints, IT band, hip problems, etc. And injuries are no fun. I've dealt with my injuries before. I've had a hamstring injury. And if you're constantly injured, then it's significantly harder to train because either A, you have to work out through the pain, which that hurts. That's not fun. It starts to affect other areas of your life. Like if you have a knee problem, maybe it hurts to walk or get out of bed or walk up stairs. And then 2, it's hard to be consistent with your training because you may have to take days off, right? If you end up hurting your knee and you want to get it healthy, that requires recovery time where you have to take 2, 3, 4 days off or even more. And so you're never able to be consistent with your training, build up that momentum, which is going to leave you with doubts, with fear of if you're actually going to be prepared for your half or full marathon. And so you're better off training in a way that's going to prevent and reduce the chances of getting injured rather than dealing with injuries and then trying to train with them. Also, I guess on top of that, I mean, if you got injuries, well, now you also have medical bills too. And so injuries are the worst thing that can happen to you while you are training. Also, it can lead to burnout and overtraining. Running 5, 6 times a week is a lot. Like there's no doubt about it. It's very time consuming. It's mentally draining. It's physically draining. And if you're not someone who loves it, you don't have to do it. and you're training for your first race and you look at your schedule and you see you got to run 5 miles on a Monday, 4 miles on a Tuesday, 8 miles on a Wednesday, and then 20 miles on a Saturday, just looking at that is overwhelming. It's daunting. It doesn't look fun. It's running. And so it's very easy to get burned out and overtrain and just be tired and fatigued. And the way I look at training in general is I want to be able to do this for the rest of my life, not just for a couple months for a race. And so if you can't do it for a day, then you're not going to be able to do it for the rest of your life. And so if you're following a plan that's having you run way more miles than what you need to be doing, you're not enjoying the process, then what I'd recommend is making some adjustments to your training, which I'll show you down here in the bottom of how you should train, how I train and how some of my clients train. Actually, all my clients train here in a sec. And then the last thing is very time consuming. Running miles after miles after miles, that takes a long time. I've seen plans where you have to run 10 miles on a Wednesday. Well, if you got nothing else to do, okay, sure, you can run 10 miles on a Wednesday. But if you have a full-time job, you got a family, you got kids, then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to run 10 miles. And I'm guessing you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. to go run either. And so here's how I train, how my clients train is we will only run 3 times per week. We'll do a short run, a medium run, and a long run. And a short run will be on a Thursday, a medium run is on Tuesday, and a long run is on a Saturday. And so how these runs are designed and how they work is the reason I do a short run on a Thursday is I call it a slow active recovery run, because on Wednesday down here, and you'll see it all makes sense here in a sec, but on a Wednesday, I'll train legs. And if you train legs right, you're going to be sore. And so Thursday is a slow active recovery run where you just run a few miles at a nice, easy pace. You take your time. You can jog it. You can walk part of it. You don't have to worry about your pace. It's just a nice, easy run. Medium run, that is on Tuesday. That is where I would run at goal half or full marathon pace. And so if you want to run, let's say, a 4-hour marathon, well, you would want to run your Tuesday run, it's usually around 5 miles, at a 9-minute pace, because that'd be equivalent to a 4-hour marathon. And then the long run is on Sunday or Saturday. And the way I like to do my long runs is if I don't have a time, I just want to run the race, well, then I just run the miles and get it done. Now, if I want to train for a race and finish in a certain time, I'll run the first 70% of that run slow and easy. And then the last 30% will be at goal marathon pace. And so let's say you're running 10 miles and your goal is to run a 4-hour marathon. Then the first 7 miles, nice and easy pace that you're comfortable with. And the last 3 miles would be at a 9-minute pace. And the benefits of doing this is, first and foremost, it's enough mileage, right? Running 5, 6, 7 times a week, I call them junk miles. They're unnecessary. You don't need to do them. Running 3 times a week is plenty of mileage to get to where you want to be. Because I look at training for half and full marathons as a math equation. It's endurance plus strength equals marathon. And to build up your endurance, you can do that easily by only running 3 times a week. It doesn't require a whole lot more than that. Usually if I've worked with hundreds of runners and I've talked to thousands more, when someone says that they get to mile 20, they hit the wall, their legs are tired, they're fatigued, 99% of the time, they always say that it was a physical strength thing. It wasn't a cardiovascular. They weren't winded. They weren't tired. Their heart rate wasn't elevated. They didn't feel like they needed, oxygen or anything like that. It was always comes down to a physical strength, just not having the strength in their legs. And so running 3 times a week will get you into the cardiovascular shape to run your half or full marathon. The component that most people miss is the strength training, which I'll talk about here in a sec. So you really only need to run 3 times a week for your half or full marathon. I've never ran more than 3 times a week. For my races, I ran the Austin Marathon in 3 hours and 34 minutes. I've worked with hundreds of clients, and they only run 3 times a week. And so it's been tested time and time again that running 3 times a week is more than enough. And I'll say this though, the reason it works is because you have to do the strength training right, which I'll talk about. Now, if you're not doing the strength training, then maybe I'm not really sure if only running 3 times a week works. It could, maybe, but I know for a fact that if you focus on the strength training, you do it right, then running 3 times a week is more than enough. Now, also, it allows for time to recover and allow for rest, because think of all the wear and tear that you put on your body just running mile after mile after mile, right? If you keep running, well, your body's going to wear out. It's going to get tired. It's going to get fatigued. And it's going to break down. And so strategically only running 3 times a week in between, right? Running on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it gives your body enough time to recover. And so you're not beat up and bruised and cramping up and injured. You're actually able to fully recover and have quality miles, right? Most people focus on quantity, thinking they need to run 100-mile weeks, but I prefer being efficient and having quality miles. And so if you only run 3 times a week, it allows for you to be more efficient, run quality miles, which will allow for rest and recovery. And if you do that, right, you're less likely to get injured. You're off your feet as much, not on your feet as much. And so you'll be able to recover. And then lastly, you'll be able to lift weights, right? If you try to run every day and you're working out for 45 minutes to an hour and you got a full-time job and a family, you're not going to have time to lift weights. And like I was saying, I look at training for half or full marathon as a math equation. Endurance plus strength equals marathon. And if you neglect the strength training, 50% of training for half or full marathon, well, then you get into the position where you hit the wall at mile 10 on a half marathon, your pace slows down, you're cramping up, your legs are tired, you start walking, and you end up crossing the finish line like a zombie from The Walking Dead or something like that. And so running 3 times a week will also allow for you to lift weights. In terms of lifting weights, here's a schedule that I and my clients follow. It's Monday is a pull day. That's back and biceps. Wednesday, leg day, quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves. And then Friday is a push day, chest and shoulders and triceps. Each workout is about 45-ish minutes long. I don't do the whole body weight exercises or HIIT workouts or doing 20, 30, 40 reps, just because that's more of a cardiovascular workout and you're already running. And so there's no need to be spending that time doing more cardio. But the goal of strength training is to get stronger. And to get stronger, you have to achieve progressive overload, which means you have to put your muscles under enough stress for the muscles to break down and then for them to actually build back and get stronger. And so what I've found over the years is sticking to 8 to 12 rep range. Maybe you'll do a total of 6 exercises. You'll do 3 or 4 sets for each exercise, and you'll do 8 to 12 reps. That right there is a perfect amount of volume, so you actually get stronger. And also, you're doing it in a way that's not going to allow, or at least reduce the chances of getting injured. Because if you do 8 to 12 reps, well, you're using a weight that's not too heavy, where you're putting yourself in a position to get injured, because the more reps you do, right, you have to use a little bit less weight. And so 8 to 12 reps is that happy median where you're not doing 20, 30, 40 reps where it's a cardiovascular workout, but you're also not doing 1, 2, or 3 reps where you're significantly increasing the likelihood of injuries. And so 8 to 12 rep range, you have to use the weight. It's a tiny bit lighter. You have to be able to control it. You have to have good form. And if you have all that, injuries are very less likely to happen. And so that is the strength training split and schedule. And then the benefits of it, you're able to run faster and you're able to finish your race strong. Like I was saying, a lot of runners, they come up short on their goal, on their time goal. And the reason is because they slow down on the last 5, 6, 7 miles of their race. And the way I look at it is I want to be so strong that's unreasonable for me to slow down until I cross the finish line. And so if you're running right now and you're running, let's say you ran a marathon and you're looking at your splits and you got to mile 20 and you were running, let's say, a 9-minute pace and then miles from 21 to 26 or a 12-minute pace, well, that wasn't a cardiovascular thing. That was a strength training thing. It was simply that you didn't have the strength to maintain your pace for the entire 26.2 miles. And so all you would have to do to shave off 5-10 minutes to your marathon time would just get stronger. You wouldn't need to run anymore. You wouldn't need to change your nutrition. You wouldn't need to change your recovery. You wouldn't need to change your race strategies. Literally all you'd have to do is just get stronger so you can maintain your pace for more miles. And if you're able to do that, you're able to run faster and you're actually able to finish your race strong. You're also able to run injury-free. The way I look at strength training is you're getting stronger, you're strengthening your bones, your joints, your ligaments, and so it can take that demand. It's like, putting body armor on, right? You go out and if you're out in war, right? If you don't have body armor and your equipment and whatnot, okay, well, what are the chances of you surviving, right? Very low. But if you have a bulletproof vest and a helmet and all the attachments and gears, etc., well, okay, you increase the likelihood of you making it through if you get into a combat, right? And so strengthening your body will also prevent injuries. And then another thing is you'll just get stronger. You'll build up a strong, toned, healthy physique. You look better. If you want to reduce body fat or change the way that you look, so you're happy with the way that you look in the mirror, well, simply adding lean muscle is going to do that. And no, you're not going to get big or bulky if you lift weights. A lot of people think that, but as someone who came from the bodybuilding world and studied that and loves to lift weights, that it's extremely, extremely, extremely hard to get big and bulky. It takes decades, time, years and years and years. You have to be lifting weights 6-7 times a week, sometimes twice a day, heavy weights, high volume, high intensity. You have to have the right genetics, which 99% of the people don't even have them. And then also you have to be eating a ton of food. Like I'm talking 6, 7, 8 meals a day. And if you're not doing any of that, you lifting weights for 3 times a week for 45 minutes, you're not going to notice you're going to get big and bulky. You're going to notice reduction in body fat, more muscle definition, more tonality. And I have case studies I can show all you guys that will prove this, and I'll make sure to link them below so you can see them. But you'll see that lifting weights, it's going to help you get stronger. It's going to help you run farther. It's going to help you run faster. You're going to feel stronger when you run. One of my clients said it felt like she was gliding, and so it will just make the running better. And then also, as you get older, right, being stronger, if you, let's say, fall over, right, you're not going to end up like that old lady on the commercial that says, "Help, I've fallen, I can't get up." You'll be able to get back up and do things and be active and be fit, rather than what most 60, 70-year-old people are. They're old or injured and they need the support. And so I say all that to say, I recommend running 3 times a week and lifting weights 3 times a week for your half or full marathon. Here is a typical plan, just so you have an idea of what it looks like. On Monday would be a push day, chest, shoulders, triceps, doing 2 exercises for each. Medium run on Tuesday. This is about 5 miles, give or take, running at your goal half or full marathon pace. Leg day on Wednesday, quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves. Short run on Thursday. Slow, easy, active recovery run, running about 4 miles. Push day is chest, shoulders, triceps. Oh, I got these mixed up. The pull day is actually back and biceps. Push day, chest, shoulders, triceps, and then long run on Saturday, and then day off on Sunday. So I hope you enjoyed this training.